I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for coming to listen to this and watch this very unique episode of BZ's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show. I call it the 15-minute throat punch, in which essentially I talk about some stories that I may cover tonight, but I just wanted to talk about right now in a very brief style, if I might. And then, of course, at the conclusion of the episode, at 15 minutes the most, what?
Stand by for news.
I will tell you about all the great SHR media shows that are going to be occurring tonight, including mine, and on the rest of the week. And I have that list right here for everyone. So thanks for being here. I'm trying something new. I'm going to find out if people will watch during the day for a smaller portion of time. So essentially, I'm just going to get right into it. One of the first things that I thought was absolutely stellar was this. The Supreme Court granted Trump the request to lift the stay halting Venezuelan deportations. That was an absolutely wonderful thing. And Judge James Boasberg's prior ruling vacated. Wonderful. Justices on the High Court ruled 5-4 to grant the administration's request, that is to say, the Trump administration's request to lift the stay, in a temporary victory for Trump and his allies. Well, they're calling it temporary, but since it went to SCOTUS, it's not particularly temporary. So one of the things that I should care to point out on this is if it was a 5-4 decision for this supporting Trump, then who were the justices that went against it? It would be, well, let's go back on this a little bit. This occurred yesterday. SCOTUS granted Trump's request to vacate a lower court's ruling barring the admin from using a 1798 wartime immigration law to immediately deport Venezuelan nationals, as well we should, including alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang, actual members of the Tren de Aragua gang. That is a significant victory for the Trump administration because they were using leftist, black-robed, anarchist judicial fare against President Trump. The issue was the Alien Enemies Act, or the immigration law passed by Congress in 1789 to immediately remove certain migrants from U.S. soil. Well, the Supreme Court filing said the lower courts orders rebuffed their immigration agenda, including their ability to protect the nation against foreign terrorist organizations and risk debilitating effects for delicate foreign negotiations. Absolutely correct. And of course, AG Pam Bondi was happy about that. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was happy about that. This was following a temporary order from U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. This occurred last month, which blocked the admin's use of that 1798 law. The interesting thing about that is that it's been upheld by the Supreme Court. And I wonder who voted against it. It wouldn't be the Amy Coney Barrett individual who did that. Would it? Would that possibly be it? And the answer is yes. That's exactly what occurred. So I want to tell you guys, by the way, that tonight, because if I can't promo my own show, what the hell can I do? So tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, I will be on as your conservative Sherpa at shrmedia.com. And so, what is a conservative Sherpa? It's me guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. And I will be here tonight. Just going to try this one time to see if anybody is interested in myself doing a show with some big bullet points, maybe 15 minutes or so, and then moving on to the show where I will be doing and talking about these things in detail. Here's another one. This is from redstate.com. DOGE official, Department of Government Efficiency official confirms what you and I have known and suspected. Well, come on, suspected. Any clear-thinking individual knew this. What we've known all along. Illegal immigrants are on Medicaid and they are voting. They were open. They were Democrats, leftists, and globalists were absolutely fine with a wide open border and people coming in hot and cold, running illegal invaders. No problem whatsoever. But then some numbers started to came out. Now there's a guy named Antonio Gracias. He's a DOGE official. He talked about all of the things that they discovered. Well, let's go into that. Let's change briefly and go here. With luck, you can see this. These are astonishing numbers. Non-citizen Social Security numbers issued over the past 4 years. Social Security numbers, Social Security cards are the key to the American environment. This is where you acquire all the lovely entitlements to which you believe that you are due, but you have to be an actual citizen in order to acquire these. The Biden administration, Joe Vegetable's administration, the guy who was not in charge, a cadre of leftists under him were, that's an issue unto itself, discussed any number of times. Non-citizen Social Security numbers issued during the Biden administration, 270,425. In 2021, 590,000, 590,000, 590,193 non-citizen Social Security numbers issued for 2022, doubled. And then about 1 million numbers, 964,163 in 2023, doubled. And then under the Joe Biden administration, Joe Vegetable, 2 million. 2,095,247 Social Security numbers issued over the past 4 years. Now, that was in 2024, and then a logical, rational, clear-thinking administration stepped in. This is a quote. DOGE found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum requests were being accepted or denied. Now, customarily, how long would that take? That would have taken, with the number of judges available for hearings, years. Literally years. It will take years. And they're here. They stepped through the border. If they got their ankles moist from the Rio Grande and they came through, they're here. That document allowed them to work. And as their asylum requests were being considered, they could work with a Social Security number, access any amount of largesse paid for by you and me, the American taxpayer, with our hard-earned American taxpayer dollars. And again, they knew that it would be literally years before any case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. Did it have to be to a P.O. box? It could have been to a P.O. box. Were they vetted in any way, shape, or form? Of course not. But we gave them the key to the kingdom, nevertheless, courtesy of the Biden administration. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail and ship it out to them. No problem. DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, also discovered 1.3 million aliens, illegal invaders, are now receiving Medicaid. Your Medicaid, my Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses. Some registered to vote. And DOGE said some of them actually did vote. This is undermining on an absolutely unprecedented degree.
To reveal what's really going on. DOGE exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. DOGE has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard.
Imagine that.
The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. They just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021,
look at the
DOGE
numbers.
says,
Stop right here. Look at the numbers. These are the ones I was talking about. Fiscal year 21, 22, 23, 24. Each year, those numbers doubled.
270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. DOGE also discussed.
Now, if you can't say that that was essentially the Biden regime crapping on the upcoming administration, particularly, the thought is staggering. These people are here. And so when folks had said, maybe it's 11 million, only 11 million people are here. Well, there are roughly 340 million citizens, people, in the United States of America, according to the last census. Do you think there are only 11 million illegal invaders here? How about 20 million? Do you think there are 20 million illegal invaders here? How about 30 million? Do you think there are 30 million illegal invaders here? Well, there are 300 million people in the U.S. I would suspect that by this point, it's not impossible that there are 40 million illegal invaders in the United States of America, the bulk of which are absolutely unvetted. Now, I listened to Rick Robinson's show this morning, and Rick Robinson is from KLRN. He's the Rick Robinson Show. He's Tuesday through Friday. I highly recommend listening to Rick Robinson. And he's on noon to 3 p.m. on KLRN. That's Pacific, I should say, 2 to 5 p.m. Central, and 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And one of the things that he pointed out is we're paying for all of this largesse for illegal invaders. Are you happy with that? It's possible 300 million people, 40 million of which are illegal invaders. If that is not turning our country upside down, I'm not sure what is. Continue.
That 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses. Some registered to vote, and DOGE says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
At all, period. And yet we didn't care. We just allowed this to go on. Can you possibly feature what would have happened to this nation had Joe Biden decided to stay and he was elected, or Kamala Harris was elected? One of the worst campaigns possible in the history of history. That's a story for another day. I'm running out of time. I said this was going to be a 15-minute throat punch, and now we're going to ask this question. Now, this is interesting. This is from a leftist dude, but I put it up here to illustrate what's happening. Pentagon prepares for Trump to go berserk. Unprecedented number of B-2 bombers amassed for an Iran strike. Now, do we know for a fact that it is an Iran strike? Could it be? Well, not entirely impossible. Let's look. Here's a graphic. B-2 stealth bombers strike the Houthi. Dual carrier coverage in the Middle East this week. The B-2 bombers are at Diego Garcia, much closer than the continental United States, CONUS, where the B-2s customarily live. We've got the Harry S. Truman group and the Carl Vinson group. And so they're striking the Houthis. Does that necessarily mean that by dint of that they're going to be striking Iran? This gentleman believes so. In the largest single deployment of stealth bombers in U.S. history, the Pentagon has sent 6 B-2 Spirit aircraft to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Well, there aren't that many B-2s. So every one that we send, that's relatively small. So I'm going to be asking you at this point, and perhaps to be addressed a little bit later on my show, why the movement? Why is this happening? Yes, potentially striking the Houthis. Are we looking at Iran? So thanks for being here. This is my 15-minute throat punch. And I'm going to remind you also about all the other wonderful shows that will be coming, I should say, on the SHR Media Network. So tonight, my show, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, will be on tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, for roughly 2 hours of bulbosity. I should say absolutely unrestrained bulbosity. And then, of course, The Edge of Liberty, Sean Lewis's show on SHR, is Monday and Wednesday, so it will be tomorrow, Wednesday night, Sean Lewis's The Edge of Liberty show, and that is also 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. Mondays and Fridays are the Reaver of Common Sense, the Jersey Joe show. If there's common sense, he will reeve it out like a chain-mailed glove. The Reaver of Common Sense is on Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, our very own Earl Big E Jackson, his show, Mission Ready Men, Tuesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. Everybody, God bless. Be here tonight.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Night, Mama. Night, Ben.
I'll be getting
Good night,
sleep
everyone.
for tonight.
Night, Daddy.
Thanks for being
Good
here.
night, children.
If you're interested in seeing another one, let me know. Hit me in comments in social media. Take care.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night, Jim Bob.
See ya.
Good night and good luck.